confidence in the real estate market. Today, we are conducting a second hangout session under the NRI series. In the last session, we discussed about the tax implications that NRI should look into while buying a property in India. With tax tips, legal awareness is very significant. The topic of today's session is legal tips for NRI property buyers. We have a guest today, Asha Nair Basu. She's managing partner S. Jalan and Company Solicitors and Advocates. She has a long-standing reputation in the real estate arena, advising investors and developers on the acquisition, sale, and leasing of real estate. Her specialist team in New Delhi and Kolkata provides a comprehensive service on real estate matters, including due diligence, personal law, wills, trust, family settlements, NRI investments, and real estate litigation. We have Akshat Pandey also on the board today. He will join in a little while. He is a partner with Seth Dua and Associates. He has more than 13 years of work experience as a lawyer and a CS. He is leading SDS Noida office. Akshat has also worked in the UK as an Indian lawyer. Prior to joining SDA, Akshat was running his own law firm, Alpha Partners. He has an experienced corporate and commercial lawyer who practice focuses on private equity, venture capital, M&A, joint venture, exchange control advisory, and restructuring. Akshat advises clients in sectors such as healthcare, hospitality, real estate, e-commerce, etc. I also welcome E. Jayashree Kurup, editorial head, content and advisory, Magic Bricks. She has been a business journalist for over 2 decades with Times of India, the Economic Times, and the Financial Express. She is a regular guest columnist with a number of established media, including the Times Group and others. Without any further delay, let's quickly start the session. Over to you, Jayashree.
Thank you, Neha. Welcome to all our guests who are participating in this session, and thank you, consumers, for logging in. This is a very special moment for us because for the first time, we have often on in other shows been handling the problems that NRIs face when buying property in India. But as the real estate markets rise with currency arbitration, with global scenarios becoming uncertain, NRIs have been looking at the Indian market in a very big way, and we feel that it is time to tackle their problems in. Especially with experts like Asha. And Asha has a very special place in the Magic Bricks heart because she joined us when we started in 2006. It's been a long 10-year journey with Asha Nair Basu, and Asha has been answering queries from our consumers over the years in our forum. Do log into our forum because a lot of the answers that have come over the years and the wisdom from S. Jalan and Associates we have been bringing to the consumers for a long time. Let's start with our first questions. Neha, our first question comes from Rahul. He's an NRI based in UK. He needs to know, does he need to be physically present in India for a house sale, or is there any legal formality which can be done to authorize the sale? Asha?
Yeah, he doesn't need to be physically present. If he does give a power of attorney to a close relative or somebody who knows well, and he needs to get it attested or apostilled at the embassy, at the High Commissioner in UK, and the procedure is largely simple. Post giving the power of attorney to somebody in India who can handle the entire procedure.
So if Rahul walks up to the Indian High Commission in UK, he should be able to, they would know exactly what to give him when he says he wants to.
Absolutely. Wherever in the world, they just need to go to the Indian High Commission or the embassy. And the procedure is so simple. But in many places, could be a delay. Whether that councillor office, his officer is present or not, could be a minor delay. But largely, my experience says that they're very efficient and they are pretty. It's easy.
So there you are, Rahul. If you're looking for property in India, you don't need to be physically present. If you have a relative or a close friend in India, you need to walk up to the High Commission, get a power of attorney made in the name of the person who will represent you locally, and get going. We have Nitesh Sharma who says, which are the documents NRIs must check while buying a resale property in India? Are the documents different in each state or the same?
Title documents, wherever it is, whether it is Kolkata, whether it's Delhi, whether it's Kerala or Bombay, title documents remain the same. You have a title, the owner must be able to give you a title document saying that I am the legal owner or the absolute owner of this property. And those title documents needs thorough vetting. Now,
And
it's not necessary that you have a sale deed. You may have a power of attorney, or you may have a will, you may have anything. So it's difficult to say, okay, fine, I have a conveyance in my favor, or I have a registered sale agreement or an unregistered sale agreement. One needs to see all these documents or a will in his favor. So in case of a will, it has to be a probate or some letter of inheritance. So that needs to be checked up wherever you are. So wherever you are, you need to find an Indian lawyer, either there or back in India where the property, the jurisdiction of the property, and ask them to do a thorough due diligence. I cannot emphasize more on the necessity of doing a thorough due diligence, because that
Asha,
is
this is something a lot of consumers ask us. How do you identify your lawyer? Lawyers don't advertise. So how do you find your lawyer? And how do you know that that lawyer will represent you well? And normally, what kind of costs does this involve?
Jayashri, how do you find a lawyer? They are everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's on a lighter note. They're everywhere. But usually I have seen that, people go through a reference. You go through a reference. You don't go to anybody. Just like you don't go to any doctor, you don't go to any lawyer. There are several people sitting around, but then you don't go there. You tend to actually go by a reference, go by that reference, family or a friend, and then do a check on that lawyer online. Everything is online these days. So okay, fine. This person seems to be, pretty much, he seems to be reputed or trustworthy, and then go forward. I mean, there's no one rule for it. Okay. We were not allowed to advertise, but if you see now, all the law firms have got their own websites. Even they have their websites. Even individual lawyers have their websites. So the Bar Council is not exactly stopping us from doing those things, but the best way to go through is through a reference.
Right.
Somebody who's done work for someone earlier would be able to tell you. And then, of course, what about the charges? Charges, again, depends from a lawyer to lawyer perspective, from a firm to firm perspective. Some lawyers, they charge by the hour, some charge by the project or a lump sum basis. It's best to have these things sorted out right in the beginning so there are no surprises. When I do, as far as me or my clients are concerned, when I know the kind of project that we are talking about, I know the kind of volume. So we have a fair idea about the fee structure, and we tell them, okay, fine, this is going to be the fees, this is going to be the expenses on ground zero. So we are able to tell them that, okay, fine, this is the thing. So there are very few surprises in the end, unless there is something that we need to check, that there's a litigation in the property, I need to check that closely that way. It's a little tough on the fee part.
Okay. So talk to your lawyer, fix your fee, your basic fee. If there is more work to be done, understand that there will be an incremental cost, but it's still worth it. If you're spending lakhs and crores on buying property, it is worth spending a few thousands to get your due diligence done. We can't emphasize this enough. We think that this is one of the major reasons why people get into trouble when they buy property, because they don't do the due diligence beforehand. We've got Divya Mathur who says she settled abroad but plans to purchase in her home state of Chennai. Which are the best places to choose a property, and how do I check whether the land has all the approvals in place?
This question
should be a big concern, especially because people like Divya are overseas and they do not have some local advisors. So we thought it's a good way to bring it to you and get your advice.
Well, since I've been the lawyer for Magic Bricks, I would say, I mean, the first point of information would be Magic Bricks, and to read your columns, Jayashri. What else? And so I'll get into the point of, I mean, how do you check whether a property is good or bad? First of all, I would look at the builder. Who is the builder doing it? That should be the, okay, fine. An area is important, but for that there is a portal like Magic Bricks which simplifies so much. You demystify what the property looks like and all that. And I've seen your portal lately, so there's a lot of information. It is important to check out the builder, what his projects are, how he has constructed them, the delays. Is there any delay in any of his projects? And is there any litigations pending against him? You can just Google in and find out a lot of information about these builders. That would be one point. And secondly, if you're buying a property in a multi-storied apartment complex, then it's fairly simple that, I mean, the property must have got legal sanctions, the permissions to build that thing. So you can go to check it out with a local lawyer who is quite familiar with the local laws to check, okay, fine, this guy has got the permissions. Once that is done, it is important to go through the agreement for sale or an allotment, the allotment agreement. What the allotment agreement can tell you in very clear terms, what are the pros and cons. For example, whether it's a one-sided agreement in favor of the builder, say a small issue like delay. How is the lawyer, how is the builder treating the point of delay? Is there going to be any compensation, or there's going to be no compensation, and so on and so forth. So it's important to check that agreement for sale also, even if the property is completely clear. So do have the lawyer or somebody, see, I'll tell you what, a project clearance and all can be done by a local lawyer, but that allotment agreement is very, very crucial in case of multi-storied buildings or a group housing project. That must be vetted. I would say must be vetted by somebody who's got an idea of real estate contracts. It's important because local lawyers, they usually don't do such large scale projects, and they will not be able to tell you, okay, fine, this is not the norm, or this, they'll be able to kind of identify the loopholes in such an agreement and will be able to advise you better. That's my thing. Yeah. So not only to check on the local level if the project has been passed with all the clearances, but also to check the allotment agreement in this thing.
Yeah. Once the Real Estate Regulatory Act comes in, all developers will have to mandatorily put up their approvals on public websites so that consumers can check it out. In the absence of that, we still see some of the good developers actually putting up the approvals that have been received. And since the act has come into existence, a lot of people have already started complying to it. So, the good developers are actually putting up their approvals for public scrutiny. So that is one place, Divya, where you can check on the developer's website. Wherever developers ask us to upload their approvals on Magic Bricks as well, it's not mandatory, but there are a lot of developers who have started putting their approvals on the site as well, because that instills the sense of well-being in a potential buyer. We'll quickly go on to the next question. Rakesh Singh lives in Australia and his brother is in India. They want to buy a property jointly in Gurgaon. Can they do that?
Yes. In the same method I told you, he can do a power of attorney and give the power to, his brother to buy the property. He doesn't even need to come here for that matter. They can buy a property jointly.
And then both names will be there, but his brother can sign on his behalf, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's it, Rakesh. If you give a power of attorney to your brother, he can buy on your behalf, and the property can be jointly bought. There's Nikhil Singh who says he's settled in Dubai and has a just a minute. I think I lost that question. I'll come back to that one. There's Shripad who says, "Dear sir, I selected ready possession flat and negotiated with the builder. Advance booking check of 10,000 was given to the builder and he handed over project file to Axis Bank. I'm waiting for bank approval for my loan case. The case will be approved within 10 days. I showed this flat to my family members and friends a number of times from last 1 month with the permission of the builder. Today he's asking the excuse for retaining the flat for his partner. What is the next step for me to purchase the flat? The builder has accepted the check that balance payment will be done at the time of sale deed as soon as possible. Clearly, the builder has taken an advance and is now saying, I don't want to sell this flat to you. How should we go about that?
First of all, send a legal notice immediately to the builder saying that, this is unethical practice, and give him about 15 days to respond to it. Yeah. And in the meanwhile, approach a lawyer to see, to actually go through the, again, as I said, the allotment letters, the agreements, to check it out, and then to consider filing either a police complaint, a criminal complaint against him, and also with the National Commission. I mean, with the Consumer Forum.
The Consumer Forum. I think it's a good time for you to actually assert your rights as a consumer and go to the Consumer Forum, because clearly this is a case
First of all, Jayashree, yeah. First of all, a legal notice should be sent.
Yeah.
A legal notice should be sent. Consult a lawyer to see if the best options. Sometimes with a legal notice being sent, people realize that what they're doing is wrong, and that, this person has got legal advice. So they come and settle. So do that first.
Okay. And we come back to Nikhil Singh, who settled in Dubai and has a property in Greater Noida West. I'm expecting possession next year in January or February. Which are the things I must check at the time of possession, he asks?
I assume that the agreement for sale has been done. Yeah. And if it has been done, check out all the possession letters that you've got and keep them in proper this thing, and see if the dues have been paid. I mean, since it's a new property, there are no past dues. But do keep your documents safely, and do keep a copy of the plans, which will be available with the builder, with yourself, and that's it. There is because it's they are the first owners, so there won't be any past documents, but a copy of the title documents of the builder, if it is possible, they should keep it with themselves.
Right. We welcome Akshat also into the show now. There is Akshat. Yeah, thank you for joining us. There is Cecil Philip who has said, can NRIs buy plots in India? If yes, what are the legal procedures they need to follow? Akshat, would you like to take that?
Can you repeat the question?
Can NRIs purchase plots in India? If yes, what are the legal procedures they need to follow?
So NRIs can definitely buy plots. So far, they are not agricultural or plantation activity or farmhouses, etc. If there are residential plots to be constructed, etc., it can be bought, and there are no prior permissions generally required under the foreign exchange laws, except in certain very specific circumstances. You have your non-resident accounts in India with the Indian banks. You can pay through those accounts and receive. You can sell the property also and receive the sale proceeds in that account also. So there's no issue as such.
Okay. Asha, the next question. Daniel David, who's currently living in Australia, surrendered his Indian passport in November 2010 and obtained an Australian citizenship. Currently holds an OCI, the Overseas Citizenship of India card. Yeah. Can he still buy residential property in India? What if he sells the property after a few years? What are the implications of that?
The OCIs can sell it. They can purchase property and they can sell it. It's the same for Indians and this thing, but you'll have to give your documents. You have to produce your documents when you are purchasing as well as selling. And an OCI, there are no restrictions per se. They can buy property in India.
Okay. And now we have a question, the reverse. Nikhil Singh says, what are the legal implications of buying a flat from an NRI? Is TDS to be deducted while making the payment? What are the issues to be kept in mind? Asha?
On TDS?
Yeah, if you're buying from an NRI.
If you're buying from an NRI, the TDS will have to be cut and will have to be deposited. There is the procedure is the same as for Indians. The resident Indians, the Indians living here or abroad. The procedure is by far the same.
Okay. And our next question, we've got questions pouring, and I don't know how many of these we'll be able to take. We'll go at breakneck speed because I can see the number of questions growing every minute. We've got Neha Arora, and Akshat, I'll take this. Can you take this question? Can NRIs borrow a home loan in India? Which are the documents they must produce to procure a home loan here?
So NRIs can definitely take home loans in India, or they can take home loans from the branches of the Indian bank situated in their country in which they live. They can also, documents are pretty much the same that that apply to domestic loans also. Apart from the fact that you have to just comply with the additional requirements of FEMA because you are an NRI. So
Okay.
pretty much the same, the address proof, ID proof, income statements, bank statements, return of income or the equivalent, whatever you have it in your home country, or sorry, the residence country, and yeah, so pretty much the same. And it depends from bank to bank also. The changes from time to time.
Right. And this is a very frequently asked question. How can I take loans for buying property in India from my the country of residence or from Indian banks as well? And this is something that a lot of NRIs have been asking us. Asha, there's Javed Khan who says, I'm an NRI still carrying an Indian passport and plan to settle abroad. I would be taking citizenship of Germany in the next 6 months. I have 2 sites in Bangalore and I may inherit some property. What will happen to these 2 sites? What legal implications can arise if I happen to inherit some property after I become a German citizen? I will be applying for a PIO card immediately.
There is no legal impediment. Even if you become, if you get a PIO card, it becomes easier for you. But you can definitely inherit property. There is no bar on inheritance, and there should be no problem in getting the property also mutated in your names. Or if it's a leasehold property, it's in Bangalore. So if it's a leasehold property, it can also be converted into freehold. There is no problem for that.
In fact, India welcomes NRIs buying property here.
Yes.
India encourages you to hold your roots back in the parent country.
In fact, if you look at all the luxury property lines, DLF or any other, big things, they are they're mostly, they're investments on behalf of NRIs or PIOs or OCIs, and even foreign nationals, who also do a lot of investing in such properties through a company and all that. So there is no problem at all. My experience is pretty good.
Okay. Akshat, there's Neelam Kapoor who says, I'm an NRI and planning to buy a property in Gurgaon. I cannot come to India, so planning to purchase through a broker. How safe is it to buy a property through an agent? What should I keep in mind?
Well, she will have to travel to India to register for registration purposes, because she has to produce herself before registrar, unless she is doing it through a power of attorney holder, which again she has to register before the registrars, which anyways has to come. Through a broker, well, it depends on which broker you are talking about and whether how dependable he or she is. It would be strongly suggested that if you deal directly, and if you have to make one or two visits, I think that would be better.
Okay, but a little while ago, I think Asha, you said you can do the power of attorney through the embassy, the High Commission in your country of residence, and you can send a power of attorney, right?
Yeah,
Another
but
thing is that
if you have to register a property through a power of attorney, you need a registered power of attorney as well. So
yeah.
So that would be obviously before
Yeah.
you will be required to be present before the registrar.
Okay. Let's go on to the next query. And as far as the query about the agent goes, here on Magic Bricks, we have been trying to make sure that you understand who the brokers are. Now, a little while ago, we were discussing how you should go with people who have used agents or who have used bought from developers before, because it's very important. You know, we live in a country where brokers are not registered. So if they were registered, their details would be up there for scrutiny. But today, anyone can become a broker. Once the Real Estate Regulatory Act becomes a reality, you will see that all brokers will have to be registered. Then it becomes much easier for you to check out the antecedents of the brokers. Till then,
The question of malpractice is also there, you know.
Yeah.
So that gets sorted when the bill comes into effect completely, and people understand what this bill is about at that point of time.
Right. And actually, you know, there are brokerages. We have been trying to make sure that we can put up on the site what is the amount of brokerage that you have to pay in different cities. It varies from city to city. And we try to provide you with the information. Come to advice.magicbricks.com. Check out all the information that we are giving you. And when you see the listings on our site, we tell you what is the listed price and what are the local taxes as well as the brokerage amounts that are normally prevalent in the city. This is just so that you have a ready reckoner which you can consult. Asha, there is Shripad who says, "Dear sir, I selected a ready possession flat." Oh, sorry, we've done this one. There is Manjunath Bhatt who says, "My apartment has 7 different sizes of flats. From 2010, we were paying fixed maintenance fee of 1,500 per month. Now we are paying maintenance by square foot basis. Still, a few 3 BHK owners are asking why it should be charged per square foot. They are asking for the flat since their maintenance charges are high. Please suggest why bigger size flats should pay more maintenance. Apartment is located in Bangalore."
So the currently, what I wanted to ask, what is the, is it now on square foot basis or per
It is
flat?
on square foot. Earlier it was a fixed maintenance fee. Now it is per square foot.
And have they occupied the flat?
I think they are NRIs and they want to know. A few of the older owners are still paying. They contesting why they should be paying per square foot.
Absolutely. So contest it. Whatever is mentioned in the, you know, that's what I said. I mean, the allotment agreement or the agreement for sale would have the detail as to whether it is to be paid on a, you know, on a lump sum basis for every flat or as a on the square foot basis. So if he is changing the rules altogether, they have to give an explanation as to what the deal is and take a consensus. I mean, there must be other people living in the flat, in the apartment, in that entire apartment building. They should check that out before taking any legal steps. You know, this is something that can be negotiated also as to say if somebody is paying on the flat basis, someone is paying on the square foot basis. Whatever, there has to be a fixed, you know, a kind of milestone for everybody. It cannot be just one is paying on this thing. So that the allotment agreement will have the detail on the maintenance part. So they have to check that.
Can there be addendums to the original document? Can a developer say, see, I used to charge 1,500, but going forward, this is going to be the new system? Can a developer do that? I think that's what's happened in this case.
No, not arbitrarily. It cannot be done arbitrarily. It has to be done with consensus. It has to be done with consensus. You cannot just come up and say that it can be done. No. You have to give a reason for it. And if that reason is accepted by the owners, yes. If not, no.
Manjunath, we would actually urge you to come to the forum. A lot of consumers have started working in groups so that they instead of a single voice, you can have a consolidated voice with the developer. Akshat, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that generally in the maintenance agreement and the allotment agreements are pretty one-sided, and the terms of the agreements are drafted in such a manner that there can be a discretion used at the time of revising the rates, etc., which I think is typically the case that you're telling. So contractually, if they are doing it, they would give the same reason that it is the discretion as per so and so clause of the agreement. So you cannot stop us from doing that. You have the option of going to the court and challenging it, or like what you correctly said, have a representation, have an association formed, have a kind of a group of people formed, and have a negotiation power so that you can go and negotiate it. But as an NRI, you obviously have to, depute somebody, or you have to appoint somebody, or have a lawyer or somebody in place so that he or she can look after your interest.
Right. We've got Santosh Roomba who says, recently I purchased a house, registration, payment, everything done except mutation. The problem is the seller took a month's time to vacate the property, but even after a month, they are not handing it over to the buyer. It is a mortgage from the Central Bank of India. May I get any help, please? Akshat, would you like to take that?
If they have done the sale deed and registered it and everything has been done, but they haven't handed over the possession, it practically amounts to a fraud. So you can, you can go ahead and have a criminal case against the guy and do whatever you want to do. But what I would suggest is that if the sale deed is registered and possession has not been given, you can easily serve a notice to him that the possession should be immediately handed over to you. Uh, if there is a mortgage, then obviously the permission of the bank, etc., must have been taken, I am assuming, before registering the sale deed. If there is a transfer of mortgage, I don't know if it is mentioned in the query or not,
No, it
or if
isn't.
it has been clear. Sorry?
They haven't mentioned the transfer of mortgage.
Yeah, so if it's a transfer of mortgage, then I'm sure bank is on the same page. Then bank would also be interested in getting the possession in place. If it is not a transfer of mortgage, the loan must have been cleared before the sale deed was done. Otherwise, obviously, the sale deed cannot be done in all likelihood. I think possession should not be a problem. You just get any reasonable lawyer and get an order, or file an FIR, or it's your basic right to get the possession.
Right. We'll go on to our last two queries of the day. Asha KG Krishnamurthy says builders Gruha Kalyan and TGS Properties Private Limited of Bangalore have been doing very massive campaigning for their various projects in which middle class people have invested their hard-earned money. It is more than 1 year and none of their projects have started, and buyers have started cancelling their bookings with checks bouncing. What should I do? Now, he's clearly an NRI. He understands that there is a problem here. What should he do? Should he cancel as well, but checks are bouncing?
If he's got a bounce check, immediately contact a lawyer on board, bring a lawyer on board and, show that this is what has been happening, what is the situation, and to send him a legal notice. The first thing, Jayashree, which I would like to tell all our people is, before rushing into something, do send a legal notice as to what is happening and to get an overall picture. So that is important. Secondly, if there's a bounce check, there is, of course, under Negotiable Instruments Act, you can file a complaint against that. If he wants to, if he does want to cancel, then there are clauses for cancellation, which is again mentioned in the allotment agreement or the allotment agreement or the agreement for sale, which needs to be seen carefully. As Akshat mentioned, these are usually one-sided agreements. So, he may be delaying, but he may not want to let go of the penalties and the compensation whole lot. So, first of all, send a notice to show that you mean business. And, no local lawyer, you should go to again, through recommendation, somebody who's very experienced in these matters. Because if you go to a local lawyer who does not have the face value, it is a problem.
Yeah.
Because these builders are big builders. The builder that you mentioned is a big builder. They're reputed. They may be, this thing. So, they'll get the best legal advice as to, okay, fine, how to cover it up. So you need somebody on board who's very good. Who'll be able to explain it to you properly, and also, to tell you whether you should litigate or not, or whether you should litigate and take it through.
Yeah. Okay.
Because some people do not have the, the staying power to litigate. So if you don't have that, the best way is to exit. with limited damages.
Jayashree, I would
Yeah.
just like to add here that most of the cases that we see in our experience, uh, the residents are not very, or the buyers and the allottees are not very willing to litigate as such, because they think that every case in India takes 10 years, which is not the fact. The second thing is that they want a speedy resolution of dispute, which also doesn't happen sadly. Third is that they think that assurances given by the developers will in all likelihood be fulfilled, which sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't happen. So if that's a call that the buyers have to take, that enough is enough. We have to go to the court, and come what may, we'll have to face that fact.
In
What
fact,
you
increasingly we see a lot of buyers now using the going for legal recourse,
after the
and in
unity
many
cases and
cases,
the NCA-DRC cases that have been given in favor of the residents, and huge penalties have been awarded, and all these things have happened recently, people are having a lot of confidence. Uh,
yeah,
just in connection with the case that you mentioned, that the checks are bouncing, so I'm assuming that there's an assured return scheme, or
yeah,
some kind of a rental scheme that was associated with selling of the flat.
yeah,
So depending on the facts and what promises were made, I think that amounts to a lot of things, like accepting deposits under the Companies Act, or collective investment scheme under SEBI, and various other things that can be explored. And you can
okay,
have complaints in place and pressurize the developers.
right. We'll go to our last query now. Hina is planning to buy a property with her partner in Greater Noida. She stays in Singapore and would like to know whether there are any measures to safeguard her share. She does not want to be cheated out of her share in the future. Akshat?
Sorry, can you repeat that question, please?
Ina is buying a property with her partner in Greater Noida. She stays in Singapore and wants to know what measures she should take to safeguard her share, because she does not want to be cheated out of her share in the future.
Okay. So by partner, do you mean like husband or wife? I mean spouse, or partnership firm, or what exactly does it mean?
I think she means a professional partner.
Okay.
Sounds like.
Correct. So basically, as a partnership firm is not a separate legal entity. The ownership in any asset of the firm belongs to the partners jointly, unless they agree otherwise in the partnership deed itself. So she will have to ensure that everything that they are signing as joint holders of the property, allotment agreement, and all the documents that they are providing. And there is a clear cut clear mention in the all the documents that they are joint holders of the property. uh, the partnership firm does not give them I mean, the partnership firm will not hold any asset, because it is not a separate entity. It will be held by the partners jointly. So
Oh,
it will be like Jayashree and Neha jointly trading as XYZ partnership firm, something like
okay.
that.
Okay. Asha, you want to add anything to that? Okay. We still have a lot of queries, but we've completely run out of time. But we would like both our experts to volunteer. That are the Diwali Home Festival is on, and we have an NRI corner that we have created specially for our NRI friends who want to purchase in India. And please feel free to answer these queries, because the NRIs need this help the most. Legal and taxation are their biggest concerns when they buy in a country that they've left long ago. We invite both of you to please continue answering these queries. We'd be happy to send them to you, and all our consumers who are listening in or who will be reading the transcripts, because time schedules don't match, we would like to assure you that keep those questions flowing in, and we'll have our experts answering your queries all the time. Over to you, Neha.
Just one mention is that I mean, it's not a very huge investment to make if you engage a proper lawyer as soon as you think about acquiring a property in India. So it's not a very big investment. It's not a very big cost. It pays down the line. So please get one lawyer.
Yes, we can't emphasize that often enough. You're spending crores, lakhs and crores buying a property. Spend a few thousands and ensure that your property is safe. Thank you so much for joining us. Asha and Akshat, a pleasure having you here. Over to you, Neha.
Thank you. Bye.
I'm really thankful to all our guest speakers for participating in this hangout. It was indeed a great session. I would also like to thank all our participants for the support making this hangout a success. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.